Welcome to the DFA Technical Center, and this is the reigning league and knockout champions, Central Cooperative Credit Union Dublanc FC.
Good afternoon to you, Gavin. Good afternoon to our first game action.
As to what has just transpired, the St. Joseph team, because St. Joseph decided not to show up, and Dublanc, they've gotten the points and will move on to the semi-finals. Your thoughts, Joseph, before we wrap up proceedings?
Not so much thoughts we can give. Like you said, I think you said the perfect words. You know, it's very unfortunate that, you know, at least to take part in the inaugural cup, and at least you would want to, you know, at least sort of show your good graces on that. But nonetheless, we can tell you of the second game, which is coming up at 7 o'clock. Scheduled start time for 7 o'clock is going to be Buffet State versus RC Doctors, newly promoted Buffet State to the Premier League team versus RC Doctors, and that's at 7 o'clock tonight. So far, Gavin, two teams have advanced to the semi-final round of this championships. We had Portsmouth advancing last night with a 2-1 win over Maho, and the Premier League champions Dublanc FC have advanced by default, not having to break a sweat this afternoon, by default to the semi-finals. Gavin?
Yes, and I must say once again, very unfortunate circumstances here for the footballing fans and all the other stakeholders associated with football. I always like to cry down and denounce these sort of behaviors when teams don't show up for games. That is, to me, utter disrespect, not just to the Football Association, but also to the footballing fraternity. And I think moving forward, that is something that the DFA really has to look to address in the upcoming season. This whole issue of teams forfeiting games and making a mockery, one would say, of the football in Dominica. So, case in point for this game, teams had what, a week notice?
More than, yes.
They had ample notice.
Ample notice.
And you know, if you had some sort of issues, you could have alerted the DFA very early,
yes,
and let them know of your challenges or whatnot. But to not show up on the day of a game, to me, that is highly disrespectful. And I think the DFA needs to take some sort of action to ensure that this doesn't happen again in 2026. Well,
and Gavin, before we close off this very brief broadcast here, I was waiting on the other side just to make sure that, you know, we have at least all our proper lists. There was no phone call, no communication, at least to the referees and to the match commissioners end. So it's not to say that we cannot say that the officials were not there and the officials were not waiting for some form of communications. The officials were waiting for at least some form of communications, like you indicated. But after 20 minutes, it has been decided the outcome. Gavin?
All right, so on that note, we will say goodbye once again for those just tuning in. Central Cooperative Credit Union Dublanc FC, the winners here by default. St. Joseph FC failing to show up. They have advanced to the semi-finals, and we'll be back on maybe about 6:45 there, so as we get set for the other game between RC Doctors and the Buffet State FC team. We'll see you then.